Welcome to the Zero Trust Journey podcast, created by cybersecurity practitioners for those walking the same path. We share real stories, hard lessons, and hard-won victories from the field, so you can sidestep the pitfalls and deliver the wins. Grab your coffee, tune out the buzzwords, and let's get into the real story right here on the Zero Trust Journey podcast.
Welcome to another session of I Zero Trust What You're Saying. This is a funny name, but the segment here is we will give you an insight into any of the news about Zero Trust or cybersecurity occurred in October 2025. My name is Victor Monga. I'm the host of this show. With me, I have Tiernan, who will be helping us as a co-host today as well.
Absolutely. Tiernan O'Malley, great to be here and looking forward to sharing the news.
Excellent. I'll start. So on October 25th, CIO.gov reported released the very first federal Zero Trust data security guide. This is the official playbook for securing the data pillar. The focus areas, as I was reading through it, they are visibility, continuous authentication, and an encryption across hybrid environments. I think Zero Trust is now officially an encryption and data governance strategy focusing on securing the data itself, regardless of the location, which is not a news. This is part of the cybersecurity, but I think it's refreshing to see as we start looking at the content that this is becoming part of a Zero Trust strategy. This gives also a little bit more of a tactical plan as you're planning your Zero Trust strategy.
Yep. And I think this is the clearest blueprint we've seen from the Fed so far, and it's really setting the tone for how agencies and their vendors will really approach security in 2026 and going further.
100%.
Yeah. October 23rd, the passing of the DoD's deadline for all components to submit Zero Trust implementation plans to the PFMO marks a clear shift from strategy to accountability. With plans now under centralized review, agencies are being measured on execution, not intent. The focus is moving from conceptual frameworks to real progress, deploying controls, integrating systems, and proving maturity. The biggest hurdles remain data segmentation and AI-driven threat detections, where legacy environments still hinder visibility and automation. In short, the Zero Trust era has entered its enforcement phase. It's no longer about planning, but now delivering.
I would love to see a sample of that, honestly, because I know in private sector, a lot of the security leaders, they're like, yeah, I have Zero Trust strategy. I want to do something about it. But then how would you prove that to your board? So from here, I don't know if someone can show a redacted sample or something. We'd love to see that. How would you prove that? How are you reporting that upwards, if you will, from a strategic and board level? I am interested in that.
Quantifying.
100%, yeah. So October 7, Federal Zero Trust Forum, they reported government and industry experts met, agreeing that Zero Trust implementation must now focus heavily on automation and granularity. Zero Trust is moving towards AI-powered monitoring to achieve scalability and continuous enforcement. I think that's not something new, but obviously, again, refreshing to see it and making the mainstream media where we need to leverage AI for continuous enforcement. We need to detect our behavioral problems using AI because now you can create a baseline. You can have different data points connecting together with the math, if you will. You can also scale that now because if you start with a smaller segment, but leveraging AI, you can also scale that. And AI is a loose term in this sentence, but what I'm really referring to is that building some sort of living organism where you have that your data context, your business decisions, your Zero Trust strategy meeting at the center of it. And segmentation must be component level, which is microsegmentation, and paired with automated monitoring to effectively stop lateral movement. Honestly, if you think about it, most of the attacks and most of the ransomware threats, they're always relying upon the lateral movement. And we need that as well. Obviously, endpoint needs to get to servers needs to communicate with other servers. That's just part of the job. That's why we have the digital system. But if we actually segment it at the component level and pair with some sort of automated monitoring and enforcing those Zero Trust rules, leveraging AI, I think you could really minimize that lateral movement, unauthenticated, unwanted, undesired, if you will. Like, yes, something that you know it's going to happen from endpoint to server to server to server. that's authenticated, we need that. But something that we don't want it's unauthenticated, that's something we can stop it.
Yeah. Especially the kind of low hanging fruit, to manage the day to day risk and data operations. And then moving on, uh, within October, CISA's expansion in Zero Trust Toolkit marks a major step in democratizing Zero Trust by making it accessible to small businesses, local governments, and critical infrastructure operators, not just federal agencies. The updated toolkit provides practical checklists, templates, and maturity models that translate Zero Trust from a policy framework into an actionable roadmap. By focusing on culture and progress, this is helping organizations operationalize security principles that were once seen as too complex or resource intensive. The message is clear: Zero Trust is for everyone. And with the right tools and guidance, even smaller entities can begin implementing enterprise grade protections. And kind of a little bit about what we talked earlier. It's not just in the planning phase anymore, it's about the executing and the
Yeah.
reacting.
I do want to see a cross pollination from this to the CMMC, because I know that that hammer is coming down on a lot of the federal contractors or the DoD contractors. So how does these checklists are going to help like anchor the strategy of zero trust but achieving the CMMC compliance? I do want to see some cross pollination in there, or someone smarter in the audience. If you're listening, if you've already done it, we'd love to bring you on the show and talk about how does these zero trust checklist for the commercial side is going to help people achieve the tactical aspects of CMMC. October 29th, Security Week reported M&A focus, which is identity, secure, acquired, effective for AI-powered risk decisioning. This solidifies the trend of continuous verifying the customer, not just the employee, which is, again, a core tenet of Zero Trust identity. I think every Zero Trust strategy and the plan I've seen in the past 3 years, they all revolve around identity, then move on to network segmentation, continuous verification, device and everything, applications are there. But I think it starts with identity. So I can imagine a lot of the companies are trying to figure out a way to bring that, especially the AI power risk decisioning, to the customers and trying to make their go-to-market play with zero trust identity.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. We're seeing this constant and more granular focus on access and authorization and really that zero trust component. And then October 1st, the MDR market is experiencing accelerated consolidation as vendors race to deliver unified end-to-end security operations platforms. Sophos' acquisition of SecureWorks highlights this shift, reflecting a broader demand from CISOs to simplify their security stack and achieve cohesive threat visibility across endpoints, cloud, and identity layers. This consolidation addresses operational fatigue from fragmented tools, improves threat correlation, and reduces response time by centralizing telemetry and automation. Beyond efficiency, the trend reinforces key zero trust principles: continuous monitoring, unified visibility, and adaptive control, positioning integrated MDR and XDR offerings as the backbone of modern security operations.
You know, when I hear and read news like that, it's again, no offense to any of the vendors and platforms out there, service providers out there, but primarily it's almost telling me that buy my product or stay with me and you'll have zero trust because I can sell you and give you everything under the sun, which again could be the great idea for a lot of customers. But I think, again, reminding back to zero trust strategy is not about the technology. It's not about buying a lot of technology. It's about realizing what you want from your business perspective, train your people, build the policies appropriately, and whatever is required for the technical controls. October 14, the record, they have reported IP theft. Pokemon developer confirmed a system breach and leak of internal data, employee info. This highlights a clear failure to enforce least privilege on high-level intellectual property. Look, I don't know if this was a clear failure, oversight, maybe someone was changing their departments and they had the access. I don't know if it was clear failure, but at the end of the day, the internal data or employee info was leaked. as part of the system breach. Zero trust, why we were talking about identity as the center of zero trust strategy and most of the planning and most of the projects because of these reasons. So that it's not about Victor works in department A, so he has access to these 10 things, and I move from A to B. Those 10 accesses remains unchanged, but I got more access and then more and then more. So people have over access, and that's a common thing, right? Knowing what applications that I need to access at what time and how much access I need, and continuously verifying and checking this. One of the great things that I've seen companies developing is just-in-time access, which is when you need access, you'll get it temporarily because that's, let's say, admin access to your own computer to install something so you don't have to create IT tickets. That's a great way. There's no over provisioning. There's no like admin access at all the times because I do access internet from this computer. If I download something malicious, using my access on that computer, they can install things. But if I get just-in-time access when I need to update my, let's say, Visual Basic, I need to update Slack application on my computer, I update it and off you go. The other thing I've seen companies doing to really enforce that least privilege on HVTs, high value targets, is you don't get to the application directly. You go through a proxy. So that proxy is always monitoring what you're accessing, how you're accessing, and creating some sort of a profile as well. And that's a new thing. So Victor Access application Salesforce, 9 a.m. to noon. After noon, he hardly goes to Salesforce. So maybe next time after building that baseline, when I try to access it at 9 p.m., it might send me an email. Hey, are you sure you want to access that? Or are you the one accessing it? Maybe ask me a multi-factor. Maybe send an email to the SOC as well. That's something is new, but also really enforces that least privilege because my day job is 9 to 5, let's say. Maybe one day I need to access something for some major problem I'm dealing with, but that enforces that. So again, I went on a little tangent there, but I think the point I'm trying to make is really focus on your identity and enforcing that least privilege, separation of duties. It's really important for the zero trust strategy.
Yeah. Great idea. And I mean, again, where it's bringing it back to that focus on the privileged access management and how critical that can be and how much exposure you can have if it's not managed well.
Exactly, 100%.
And the next October, the Cloudflare attack, which I know we all felt. The recent mitigation.
It's almost like an earthquake in digital life. Some things like that happen when AWS outage. All of your IoT devices are going haywire. They don't know what to do. They can't call the mothership. Cloudflare, because that's a front CDN for so many websites and services we consume. So we feel a little earthquake when these things happen.
Yeah. And it's residual effects, we were all at a standstill. So
Yeah.
yeah. And with that, the recent mitigation of the largest recorded DDoS attack, peaking at 3.8, underscores the critical role of zero trust networking in modern defense strategies. This event illustrates that perimeter-based models are no longer sufficient as attacks grow in scale, sophistication, and distribution across global infrastructure. By enforcing explicit verification of all traffic, even at the network edge, ZTN ensures continuous authentication, segmentation, and inspection across every connection. The success of this mitigation highlights how adaptive, identity-aware network controls can maintain resilience under massive, voluminous assaults, proving that zero trust principles are as vital for infrastructure level protection as they are for users and applications.
I think a lot of the companies have gotten smarter from a customer perspective. They are trying to at least minimize or reduce that public facing attack surface where a lot of the services hosted on-prem, which is like web servers, Exchange server, or some applications that you have it. They're trying to offload that to the cloud, and from cloud, they have some sort of way, which is a VPN tunnel back to their data center if needed. But nobody's, or at least no one I know, they're trying to actually create new services on premise and expose that from their firewalls and stuff. I think minimizing that, almost like reducing and eliminating that attack surface so that if someone is scanning the internet, you never pop up there. You never show up on their scanners because it's really easy to scan the entire internet for entire 65,000 ports these days. And again, don't get me started on quantum just yet. So it's important, I think, to reducing that visibility and segmenting your network to adhere with your zero trust strategy.
Definitely an underlying theme.
Yeah, exactly. That's all we have for today. That was October news, zero trust, and adjacent, we call it now, because there's a lot of cybersecurity news we are covering. Until next time, stay tuned on Zero Trust Journey, ztjourney.com. Thank you very much.
That's a wrap on this Zero Trust journey. Now it's your turn. Step into the spotlight, share your story, and be part of the journey. Subscribe to Zero Trust Journey on LinkedIn for the latest news, events, and giveaways. Until next time.